Holy shit, turning it to OpenGL solved the fucking full screen glitch. I'm so happy. Anyway, let's go. I'm down. We're gonna take that police officer to his goddamn grave. All goes down. And then there was yesterday. Just give us 5 more minutes. We can call him back after that. Sorry, no go. Come on, piano boy. We're leaving. Darian, wait. I never liked you. Either of you. Huh? Fuck. We were so close. He was just about to tell us. Hey, Apollo. He didn't want to tell. He didn't want us to hear what Machi had to say. And I think I know why. Trying to bring down a little justice. What was that? He is heard but unseen. Who's that talking? Valiant Gramarye. Using the door like an average muggle, no less. You aren't the witness today, aren't you, Uncle Valant? A preposterous proposition. How can I stand to stand upon the stand? Why, my secrets would be free for the plucking. I might even have to sign autographs. That is why I intend to remain hidden for the entire day. Ooh, with vanishing magic? Indeed, I will jump upon an express train and express myself to the next town over. But before I go, a word of warning. Warning? What? The Grand Gramarye glamour resides at the root of all that has happened. Do not forget this truth. A glamour? A spell, a sorcery, a great illusion. Miss Trucy, although it pains me to part so, I need to get in line for a ticket. Farewell! Whoa, he just disappeared. And there he goes. He sure seemed happy about that illusion thing. Oh, big illusions are the bread and butter of a magician. You can't pull off a show without one. The big illusion is always a spectacle to remember. Usually it involves cutting up things or... Lemoine's disappearing act. And Prosecutor Gavin's exploding guitar. I wonder what he meant by it being at the root of it all that's happened. Well, it's about time. Shall we go? Ah, excuse me, sir. Yes, sir. The scheduled starting time of the trial has been changed. The trial will not be commencing until 10:30 a.m. Sorry for the inconvenience. Huh? Did something happen? This is a first. It was by the judge's request, some urgent personal business. Great. I bet he stayed up all too late last night, watching courtroom dramas. Apparently he's visiting the hospital again. The hospital? I believe it was mentioned that the Chief Justice's son is unwell. Apparently his condition worsened considerably this morning. The Chief Justice's son. Oh, that's right. Remember yesterday morning? The judge said he had to go visit him after the trial. There's an article about it in the newspaper. If you care to read about it yourself. Yeah, sure, why not? Incurtus. Where have I heard that before? I'll let you read that article for us, Apollo. Just leave the TV guide to me. Oh! Oh my god. What a fucking... Holy shit, okay. Try not to lose the page with the funnies if you can. Oh, Apollo. He's the most relatable to us, to be honest. Alright, let's do it. My apologies for the delay. Court is now in session for the trial of, how do you say this name again? Machi Tobai, our suspect Fortissimo. Right, it's his trial in any case. The defense is prepared, Your Honor. The prosecution is ready to rock. Is something wrong, Your Honor? No, well, yes. It's just, I've been friends with the Chief Justice since we were students. It pains me to see him going through such a difficult time. Incuratus, was it? The article said there is no known cure. Dear Judge, let me say, with all honesty, I feel your pain. But now is not the time for tears. Now is the time for law. Indeed, we left off at quite the juncture yesterday. Wait, what about yesterday in the detention center? About the case? What about the case? He wants to tell us about Mr. Latouse's death. Machi was trying to tell us something, I know it. Maybe the best thing to do is ask him under oath. Your Honor! No, that wasn't it. It was something like Marquis or Mr. Justice. Your Honor, before you declare a verdict, I would like you to call another witness. Exactly who else do you need to hear from? A witness who, until now, has not been given a chance to speak in this court. Because he doesn't speak English. You don't mean? I do. The defense calls defendant Machi to buy to the stand. What? But he doesn't speak English. We'll use an interpreter. Interpreter? I'm afraid you'll have to look elsewhere. I only speak a few phrases such as I love you and where's the toilet. The defense would like to request Lamois as the interpreter. But she'd be interpreting for the defendant. Why would she lie? Bravo, Air Forehead. Air Judge. The prosecution agrees with the defense's request. If Lamois lies, I'll be able to tell. Even my limited knowledge of the language should be enough for that. Well, if both prosecution and defense are ready for this, I see little cause for refusal. Finally, some progress. Bailiff, please show the defendant and Lamois to the witness stand. How's it going? I suppose there is a first time for everything. Shall we proceed? Your name to begin with, if you would, Lamois. Yes. He says Machi Tobai, the defendant. This is certainly a first for this courtroom. Not that we really needed an interpretation of that message in particular. So far, so good. Very well, Mr. Justice, if you would. Huh? If I would what, Your Honor? Would what? You called the defendant to the stand, did you not? What would you have him testify about? What did I want him to testify about? I haven't thought that far yet. Apollo? Aren't you going to ask him what he was about to tell him yesterday? How can I if I don't know what he was saying? Excuse me a moment, if I may speak. Yes, Lamar. Just now, Machi said there is something about which he wishes to testify. Machi wants to testify about something? What could it be? What sort of testimony is he talking about? One moment, please. The suspense is killing me. What? What? Well, Lamar, according to Machi, he has proof of his innocence. What? This is a surprise. Yahoo! Victory, Apollo, we did it. This is sounding too good to be believed, and I know what that usually means. Please testify to the court. Very well. Mr. Justice, if you would. Yes, Your Honor. Something's hidden in that testimony. I knew it. I just have to trust my bracelet to tell me where. It worked yesterday. It'll work today. I see it. Machi. You can't fool my eyes. Huh. You glanced toward her the very moment Lamar said the word English. Why? And don't bother interpreting that. He understands me. Machi, tell the truth. You can understand English, can't you? What are you saying? Of course he can't. Wants to continue this charade? Mr. Justice, Machi says this. I know the word English. Huh? Before coming to this country, he heard me speaking English. He learned the name for this language, that is all. What? Give me a break. Is that such an unusual word to understand? Do you not know Espanol, for instance? Well, yeah, but I'm sorry, but he truly does not understand your language. Well, explain this. How does he know the crime followed the lyrics? Have you always been such a suspicious-minded lad? It is simple, so simple it hardly requires an explanation. He read about it in the newspaper. The newspaper? The Virginian Daily Bugle. You can buy it in the country these days, you know. They already have begun to report about this case in our homeland. I was right. What is wrong, Mr. Justice? Your eyes, they are quite fierce all of a sudden. Machi is lying. Maybe it's time to show them proof that he's lying. The paper, right? I have here a Virginian newspaper, the Virgilian Daily Bugle, as a matter of fact. Indeed, there is a feature about the case. Could you read this for me, Machi? That's right, it doesn't mention the lyrics. What? What is this all about? I'm sorry, Machi. You couldn't have read about the lyrics in the Virginian newspaper. What does this mean? But I don't see how it's possible. I know. He must have heard the lyrics when the police were doing their questioning. Yes. Not possible. The subject of the lyrics were not brought up in the police questioning. I read the full report myself. So, the lyrics weren't in the newspaper and the police didn't mention them. The only place you could have heard them was in this courtroom. In English, no less. The witness will explain himself. Machi says, yes? It is true I read the newspaper. But this is not where I learned the lyrics. I was mistaken. Now I remember. You remember? He says he heard of the lyrics from me. What? Is this true, Lamore? Then it looks like Air Foreheads began jumping to conclusions again. It seems so, yes. No, come on! I was onto something, I know it. I can't let this chance slip away. What are you going to do, Apollo? If I'm going to keep on cross-examining, I better have an angle of attack. Or else... My bracelet's still reacting. Your Honor, please allow me to continue. If you must, you must. Very well. Witness? I understand. Something's hidden in that testimony. If it's the truth, I'll find it. I saw that. Hold on. Damn it, I thought something moved there. Let me see it again. Nothing here. Can I zoom down to the bottom? Can I zoom down to the bottom? I can't. Where would you ever see it? Frag press. My bad. It has to be this news thing. Oh, she's swallowing again. What? Why?
Gotcha!
How did I not notice that before? What the fuck? Lamar. I'm currently cross-examining Machi. Why should you be uncertain? Me? Uncertain? Yes, you swallowed the very moment you told the court. It was I who explained. I see there is little point in trying to hide anything from you. Lamar, are you indeed protecting someone? To tell the truth, I do not believe it myself. Then allow me to answer for you. Lamar, you're protecting... Lamar, you are protecting Machi. That's why you lied and told that you had explained how the crime followed the song. I don't fault you for trying to help, but this is not the way. Machi, I believe you didn't do it. Really, I trust you. But you've lied to us twice, and now you have Lamar lying on your behalf. If this is going to work, you have to trust me too. Your two lies cover a simple truth. You understand English. You have to. Witness, is this true? Do you understand English? Yes, a little only. Holy shit. What? First he could see, now he can talk. And you did not know about this, Lamar. No, I did not. It is quite a surprise. How many secrets is this witness hiding? This is last. Machi, could you tell us what really happened? No shooting. I did no shooting. So you weren't in the dressing room where I heard those 2 gunshots, correct? Apparently the answer to that question isn't simple either. I was in dressing room, behind desk. Manager, he on floor. Which would be after the shooting, right? Then there is voice. Voice? Or voices? Was it you and Emma, Apollo? So when Machi went into the dressing room, Mr. Lataus had already been shot. And then we came to the door. Panel high up, I take off. Run away, run away. So it was you who escaped through the air vent. No, he's clearly denied that he did it. I know shooting, manager on floor, already on floor.
Objection!
Does the defendant have anything to say to this? He's clammed up, Apollo. Let's ask Mr. Justice. Will you require any further testimony from the witness? Is that it? Is there nothing else I can get him to testify about? Wait! No, of course there is. He won't tell me. That cocoon has to have something to do with this. Machi, please tell us the truth for your own sake. No, no more speak. Not to any of you. So much for your precious trust, Air Forehead. Hey, you were the one who didn't believe him. Regardless, this brings us to an impasse. It does seem that the defense and the defendant are at odds. I doubt we are likely to learn anything more of value should this continue. I see on another course to declare a 5-minute recess. The defense will work things out with the defendant, so we might proceed. Okay. Apollo Eustace. That's such a cool... That's justice. Better learn how to say it if you ever want to get some. Belief. I know shooting. Machi claims Mr. Lataus was already down on the ground when he entered the room. Maybe it was a trap and he walked right into it. Suddenly, I hear a revolver, close, very close. Then I hear a voice. You heard gunshots? Yes, it's true. I hear a revolver, but only sound. Wait, you're saying you went into the dressing room and found Mr. Little's already dead, then you heard shots? If that's true, so you were at the scene of the crime when you heard those shots, and you escaped through the air vent. I know. Huh? What do you know? I know if I opening vents, I can leave stage and backstage. So the vents went both to the stage and backstage area. Is that what he means? Hey, he's right. Look, Apollo. Huh, yeah. But how did you know it was connected like that? Wait, I bet his father was the architect that designed the hall or something. I hear this from Magician. Magician? Don't look at me. A magician, huh? Well, at least we're clear on one thing. Machi didn't shoot Mr. Little's. Yeah, but what does that leave us with? We're supposed to say he went into the room to find the body and then he heard the shots? That's going over well in court, not. Apollo, you're his defense. You're supposed to believe whatever he says, even lies. That's what Daddy always told me. I'll just pretend you misheard every time. So what do we do? You're sure you won't testify, Machi? No talking, no. Well, it was worth a shot. That cocoon. I can't go home. Of course, he's scared. Oh well, I guess we'll just have to try a different approach. That's the spirit, Apollo, so what's your plan? If Machi won't testify about it, we'll have to get someone else to testify. Someone else? I think we're out of time. Let's get back in there. Right. Court is now back in session. Mr. Justice, have you sorted things out with the defendant? Yes, Your Honor. We had a good talk. Very well. So will he testify? Your Honor, the defendant will not testify. What? Shame. And I thought this was your big chance to turn the case around. Actually, it is. The defense would like to approach this case from a different angle, Your Honor. A different angle? If Machi won't testify, then I know who will. I would like to cross-examine the witness in this case, Lamore. Lamore?
Objection!
What are you up to now? I thought we were determined yesterday that Lamore's testimony was substantial. There's nothing you can... Lamore was taken to the hospital yesterday with injuries. What happened? She was assaulted, Your Honor. Assaulted? Someone wanted Lamore dead. Thankfully, she was able to save herself. What? I've heard no such report. Prosecutor Gavin, why would anyone be out to kill Lamore? Could you think of a reason? Well, think of how she is known in our country. A singer from overseas who doesn't speak English, yes? Yet someone tried to keep her mouth shut. Who could that have been? You don't think? I do. It was the same person who shot Mr. Little's. The killer was afraid of her, afraid of what she might say. The defense believes that something was hidden in the testimony yesterday. Something that the killer doesn't want getting out. So, am I to understand that this is what you're saying? Namely, that there's a nugget of truth in Lamore's testimony. A nugget we have yet to uncover. Exactly. If Lamore was attacked, this has serious implications. Very well. There were some vague points in her testimony during yesterday's trial. Perhaps we did not inquire as deeply as we might have into some. The court will hear from Lamore's testimony once more. Let's review your testimony from yesterday. You told us you heard 2 gunshots and a shooter's voice through the window. And that the voice belonged to Darian Grisend, yes? That is correct. At which point I proved she could not be correct. She couldn't have heard any of those things. The small window at the scene was closed and was found to be quite soundproof. Yeah, I'm not going to say that, Mr. Justice. I don't know exactly what yet, but I do know there's something there. There is, it seems, much you do not know. And yet it is my duty to hear him out. Perhaps the witness would be so kind to testify once more to the court. Of course, Your Honor. Do I have to repeat myself? Lamar was attacked because of this testimony. What, Trucy? Apollo, you know, for a moment there, you were pretty cool. Maybe I do better when I don't try to think ahead. Very well, Mr. Justice. Perhaps you can coolly examine the witness. Dorian Crescent. I did not know his name at the time, but yes, it was him, the one who took the stand yesterday. How many times do I need to remind you that's impossible? There is no way you could have heard him. Because the window at the scene was closed? Is that why? Of course. Apollo, if we keep asking the same questions as yesterday, we won't get anywhere. She's right. Maybe there's a different angle I could try. Did you happen to hear anything else at that time? Anything else? Anything else besides the victim and the shooter's conversation? Anything at all? That's quite the vague question. Other than the conversation, I heard a clock ticking, the two men breathing, footsteps. That is all. Nothing new there, as expected. Ack! I was hoping for a little more than that. Perhaps we should just carry on with the cross-examination. As you wish. Lamar, do you by any chance remember what they were saying to each other? If so, please tell us. I have given it much reflection, but I was afraid of this. She doesn't remember. I only heard one phrase clearly. A whole phrase? You remember something that was said? Why didn't you say something yesterday? Though my memory is clear, I'm afraid to speak. You see, I do not understand what it was said. This could be it, the clue I was waiting for. Well, what did he say? It was the other man speaking, not Mr. Lataus. The shooter, then. Dorian Crescent. Well, what did he say? It's over. Press the switch, now. Switch? And the shooter said this to the victim, Mr. Lataus. I thought it was quite strange myself, afterward. It is a mystery. What could it possibly mean? Mr. Justice, care to shed some light on this? Sure. I'd be delighted. It's very vital. Remember, we could add it to the testimony. Maybe, Apollo?
Objection!
There it is. Press the switch. There's only one key that can unlock the mystery of those words. Oh? Yet there was nothing at the scene that could be called a switch, save the lights. True, there wasn't a switch at the scene, but it just so happens I have a switch right here. That certainly does look like a switch, doesn't it? The problem is, this was found not at the scene of the crime, but on the stage. The stage? Where the concert was held, yeah. This was found hidden there, on the stage. Are you claiming that the voice Lamar heard was someone commanding another person to press this switch? It is a possibility.
Objection!
Therefore, I'd like to call that an impossibility. Why? It's hardly necessary for me to remind the court of the layout of the concert forum. The stage is quite far from Lamar's dressing room. Not to mention that the Cavaliers were in the middle of a concert on said stage. We aren't known for being a quiet band. You could shout all you wanted and not be heard. Sorry, but he wouldn't have needed to shout. Excuse me, you heard that what I said, or do you need me to shout it out for you? It would have been quite simple to be heard on the stage from that dressing room. Oh wait, you like evidence, don't you? How about this? Using this, it'd be easy to get a message from someone on the stage to the dressing room.
Take that!
Prosecutor Gavin, perhaps you are familiar with this. Why that's... What? What is it? Is that some kind of newfangled phone they invented while I wasn't looking? No. This is a type of transmitter, a communications device. Communications device? From what I've heard that night, Everyone on stage was wearing one of these. Isn't that right, Prosecutor Gavin? Yes, actually. They're fucking between band members. We all had one on. So you admit that you were wearing one of these. Talking from the backstage to the stage would be simple.
Objection!
True, but wait. Those send out an electronic signal. To avoid interference with the audio systems, their range is quite limited. Lamar said it was about 30 feet, right? Look at this cross-section of the diagram of the concert forum. Exactly. The walk from the stage to the backstage seems far, but the direct distance is less than 30 feet. I can't be. So when Lamar heard the shooter's voice, he could have been talking to someone on stage.
Objection!
You're claiming this is the switch in question? Why did it have to be on the stage at the time? It could be placed in a pocket and carried anywhere. Someone could have hid it on the stage after the fact. Hey, he's got a point. How do we know where it was when she heard the voice? When the shooter said press the switch? Well, I guess we don't. An unfortunate situation. I'm afraid that until we know where the switch was, there's little point in debating it. I was sure this was the way to go with this. What is this switch anyway? We don't even know that basic fact. Oh, wait a second. I knew it. This all was heard like before the concert and after the performance. And if you follow that train of logic to its incredible conclusion, it ends up in proof that completely changes this case. It was during... Yes! What's up, Apollo? Apollo, we know about this switch, right? We know what it is. Yeah? Well, think of when it was used that day. Think of what happened. Well, Mr. Justice, if you have no further information to share concerning the switch... Your Honor. Yes, Mr. Justice. I have been remiss in not telling the court this before. I know what this switch is. Well, it seems the defense is set upon linking the switch to the case. Let's see your evidence of this link. What evidence do you have to explain what this switch is?
Take that!
Prosecutor Gavin, do you remember this? Oh, that's that! That what? Is that another one of those newfangled phones? This is Igniter. What phone looks like this, motherfucker? Igniter? You mean it's like a lighter? Yes, actually. You aren't saying the switch is a remote? I am. This is a remote trigger for an igniter. What? Look, I'll show you. Mr. Justice, you will cease and desist from burning down this courtroom. Sorry, that was a bit more fire than I expected. If my whiskers had caught on fire. Prosecutor Gavin, let me repeat myself. The switch is a remote igniter trigger. Doesn't it suggest something to you? You're talking about what happened to me, aren't you? Ah, exactly. That night at the concert, there was one unusual burst of flame. When your guitar caught fire in the middle of your performance. Wasn't that part of the stage show, though? No. Prosecutor Gavin was entirely unaware of such a thing had been planned, and the guitar that burned was a valuable keepsake. That's right, he got it in Virginia from Lamar. He said that the sound was amazing, before it burned of course, now it just kinda smokes. The better the guitar, the brighter it burns. Air forehead. Yeah? Don't tell me you're trying to tie these two things together. That being the shooter's voice heard by Lamar, and the guitar suddenly catching on fire. I am. It's really simple when you think about it. Mr. Lataus and the shooter were at the crime scene. The shooter was wearing a headset. He ordered someone on stage to press the switch. The switch was pressed and the guitar caught fire. Well, that does seem to make sense. Though something about it is bugging me, can't quite put my finger on it. Really? It seems pretty simple to me.
Objection!
Air forehead, don't destroy what a little respect I have for you. What? I was expecting something a little more sensible. I guess I was wrong. That's the problem I had with it. A two are utterly unrelated. Yeah, that must have been what was bugging me. The whole premise for this is faulty. See, his story makes no sense. Objection. Are you sure about that? What exactly do you mean, Mr. Justice? Maybe it's not the premise for my explanation of the switch that's at fault. Maybe it's our premise for the entire case so far. What premise is this specifically? I'm glad you asked. I'm saying that maybe the killing didn't take place in the third act.
Objection!
What's this? But Detective Emma Sky heard shots and found the body. All of this happened in the third act.
Objection!
Gunshots rang out, and according to his testimony, Machi was in that dressing room at the time. Where are you going with this, Mr. Justice? Stay with me, Your Honor. He also told us in his testimony, namely that the victim had already been shot. We all heard gunshots, but no one saw the actual shooting. This is insane. Just before the shooting took place, the shooter was heard on this headset, telling someone to press the switch. The next moment, Prosecutor Gavin's guitar burst into flame. We know that a remote-triggered igniter was inside the guitar. From all these facts, we can draw only one conclusion. The crime scene did not take place during the third act, but during the ballad performance, the second act. What? Order? But that goes against the evidence. What does, Your Honor? This crime was carried out according to the lyrics of the song, yeah? Hey, he's right, look. The bullet is supposed to come after the fire. You're thinking about it the wrong way. Huh? Look, why would the shooter craft the events of the day to follow the lyrics anyway? It's an awful lot of trouble to go through, with little merit for the person doing it. Well, I'm sure whoever it was had some reason. Yes, they did. A reason that made it advantageous to follow the lyrics. You're saying the order was reversed on purpose? Reversed, Prosecutor Gavin? If the criminal followed the lyrics strictly, then yes, the shooting would have come to after the guitar burst into flame. Yet Air 4 has raised another possibility. He's claiming that the bullet came out after, but just before the fire. Couldn't have put it better myself. We were only meant to think that the shooting came after the guitar burst into flame. That was the criminal's objective. The crime followed the lyrics to a point, but that was a ruse. Why else would the killer risk discovery by moving the body? That was the final touch to make us think he'd follow the lyrics the whole way. That would explain this most unusual situation. It does. The killer changed the order of events to create himself an alibi. In other words, the killer was someone who had an alibi for the third set, but not the second.
Objection!
I was hoping it wouldn't come to this, but sadly it has. Let me tell you why your little fairy tale makes no sense at all. Oh, it sounds good, I'll give you that. You've given us a reason why the killer bothered following the lyrics of my song. But I question your logic, for it's flawed from the very beginning. Flawed? Yes, a contradiction, Air Forehead, one I've pointed out several times, no less. At the time of the crime, the small window at the scene was closed. How could Lamora have heard the voice through it? Oh. I know that you would like to divert our attention from this critical fact, but you're basing your entire line of reasoning on a false premise. Right? Lamora's testimony is my entire case. That voice she heard, the shooter's voice. What if she couldn't hear it, Apollo? Look, what do we have? A man saying press the switch. And near the crime scene we have a switch, which acts as a remote trigger for an igniter. And last but not least, Prosecutor Gavin's flaming guitar. It can't all be coincidence, but how did I make it work? Machi told Lamora then, right? Yes, I can. There was a dropped headset. She was somewhere else. When we investigated the scene, the window was closed. The shooter had no reason to close it had it been open either, meaning it was impossible to hear the voice through that window. Ah, it's good to hear you making sense again. For a moment, I was afraid you might be a Virginian too. Ooh. Damn, Gavin. As I was saying, Lamar could not hear the voice through that window, so there can be only one explanation. She heard the voice from another location entirely. What's this? You used me so. And here I thought you and Good Sense were back on speaking terms. Now I'm afraid you and Good Sense speak two entirely different languages. Shall I interpret for you, Forehead? Lamar clearly stated she heard the voice through that small window, and there is only one small window at the scene. Are you sure? Think about it. Isn't there another small window at the scene? There is? Ah, I know that look. He wants us to ask him. Very well, you claim Lamar heard the voice from another location? Mr. Justice, show us where the location was. Lamar heard the voice from... I can't touch the vent. This is where Lamar heard that voice from. But that's now a small window. That's the air vent. What did she tell us? She said she's a Virginian unfamiliar with our language. It's not a stretch to imagine that she called this air vent a small window.
Objection!
Now you've done it. You've gone beyond ridiculous and into ludicrous. So Lamar was up in the ventilation system listening to this man's voice? That's the only logical explanation, yeah. Logical? I don't think this is a word what he means. You keep using that word. I don't think you know what it means. Okay, what about it? What about it isn't logical? Huh, it hardly merits saying. Why would Lamar be in the ventilation system? Hiding like a rat, no offense intended to her, of course. The explanation for that is simple, Prosecutor Gap. Isn't it, Lamar? You have been listening to our discussion here, yes? Yes. I admit it has had me quite confused since yesterday. Yes, the small window was closed. But why should that mean I could not hear through it? I feared our prosecutor might himself need an interpreter. Ooh. Damn. The problem here is words. Lamar, this small window through which you heard the voice, was it up high on the ceiling of the room, not low on the wall? Yes, it was on the ceiling. What? Okay. Witness, you clearly will testify the statement to the court. Are you in fact saying that you were up above the ceiling of the room? And that's where you heard the moment of the crime? Yes, in fact I was. I'm sorry, I never imagined it would come to such an important point. Yes, well, why the heck were you up there? I believe it's time for another testimony. I'm not sure, I can't. May I remind you this is a murder trial. We will hear your testimony. Tell us why you witnessed the crime from above the ceiling of that room. Please. Well, looks like I'm on the right track. It must have been her performance, I'm pretty sure. Because that's a magician's trick. I'm gonna make some fucking ramen. Give me a sec. Be right back. We got our fucking ramen.
Hold it!
The magic trick. I think I just need to like present the I need to present like the videotape or something. There it is. Okay, cool. Lamar, truth be told, the reason of your presence above the ceiling is quite clear. Especially when you consider what happened during your performance. What happened? Yes, it's all right here on the video. As you can see, Lamar was clearly not on stage for her entire performance. Though it saddens me to be so realistic, Lamar is incapable of actually vanishing, let alone teleportation. So the only explanation is that she was hidden from view, and during that time, she moved to the back of the forum. Apollo? What, Trucy? It's not nice to reveal a magician's secrets and against the rule. But I'm a lawyer, I'm not supposed to be nice. This is all very fascinating. But how is it possible? There's only 20 seconds between when she disappears and reappears. She couldn't have moved that fast. Is something wrong, Prosecutor Gavin? This was his concert, his show. He knows how the illusion was performed. Aha! He's just realizing his own oversight. Let's look at the cross-section diagram here. Here we can trace a route through the ceiling. And it goes through the stage, to the backstage, to the rear of the forum. Recall Lamore's testimony from yesterday. I was on my way from the stage to the backstage exit. There was something like a little window there. That's how I saw it. So you went from the stage to the backstage exit. A perfect description of this route above the ceiling. Yes, Lamar knew of this because of her part in the illusion, but she wasn't the only one who knew. What? Just now in the lobby, Machi told me something. I know if I opening vent, I can leave stage and backstage. He said that? Oh, were you not informed, Prosecutor Gavin? I knew about the vanishing act, of course. Yeah, I had no idea the route that would be used. Why didn't that magician tell me? Magicians only reveal details of their acts on need-to-know basis. They're the bread and butter of a magician's life, you know. Which is why he bound Lamar to secrecy. Well, Lamar? I am impressed, Mr. Attorney. Maji was right about you. So, what does this mean? Are you saying that you used this right above the ceiling? I did. Well, that's that. But I'm still a little confused. Why is that, Your Honor? As I said before, there was very little time between when she disappeared and when she reappeared. 20 seconds, tops. How could she do it so fast? Especially if she stopped to hear the shooter's voice. That's a good question. Can the witness explain this to the court? I cannot. Very well, Mr. Justice. Yes? It's all up to you. Do your thing. What thing, Your Honor? You need to explain how Lamar was able to teleport like she did. Or I'm throwing your case out with the bathwater. Gamer girl bathwater? Ugh. Why do I get picked on? It's Lamar who isn't going along with the program here. As I have stated before, I am not at liberty to speak of the illusion that night in detail. Then you'll just have to tell us what you can. We'll hear your testimony on this. Mr. Justice, it will be your job to wring the truth out of her. If you would, please. Right. I feel like a student before finals. Good luck, Apollo. The big illusion. In 2 minutes. God damn it.
Hold it!
Did everyone on the concert staff know about the trick? Not at all. Only a few that were needed to help. See, like I said, it's on a need-to-know basis. So not many people knew about the trick. What were these stagehands required to do? One needed to open the emergency exit. The door to the stairs is locked, but once through there. From there, one can enter the forum on the opposite side of the stage. So when you came back out, you were behind the audience. Yes, that is how it worked. Not a bad show, if I do say so myself. That's Uncle Valant for you, the old Grammary touch. But on the video, you were only gone for 20 seconds. How is that possible? That's the part I don't get either. It would be hard to go so far into only 20 seconds. The plan was for me to move there in 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Yes, it can be done in 1 minute if you are running. Running? In that cramped dark tunnel above the ceiling? Haha, Mr. Attorney. Have you forgotten? Dark or lit, it makes no difference to me. That's true, but... So you were saying on the night of the concert, you made the trip in 2 minutes. Yes, though I nearly didn't make it in time. You see, I stopped halfway. Lamar disappears in the video for 20 seconds, but she says she made the trip in 2 minutes. How? If you want my professional opinion, I'll bet the answer is right there in that video. Well, Mr. Justice, perhaps you have some evidence for us? Something that can explain the discrepancy between the video and the testimony? Yeah! Evidence explaining the discrepancy. Trucy said the video, right? But hold on. Let me watch it again. Discrepancy. I mean, the only thing that possibly can pertain to the crime scene is her brooch. But that doesn't really answer any questions because that just means that she was in the room, not in the vents. I don't know. Fuck it, I'll try it.
Take that!
Oh, shit. I'm right. Holy fuck. Aha, the brooch. We saw that yesterday, did we not? It was found at the scene, Your Honor. And you're bringing this up now, why? I thought we had already determined that when that was dropped. So did I, but we hadn't. Take another look at the video. Okay, I see your brooch there. Here, you can see she's wearing the brooch. So she is. Let's look at it later. The brooch, it's gone. What? Yeah. The brooch disappeared in the short span of 20 seconds. And it takes a full minute to run from the stage to the backstage. Which means there can only be one explanation. The Lamar we see before the vanishing act and the Lamar we see after are two different people. The brooch was found on the floor of the crime scene, and not just on the floor, but on the floor directly beneath the air vent. Lamar, tell me, did you drop the brooch on your way from the stage to the backstage? At the very moment you witnessed the crime? Yes, I think I did. Oh. From your expression, I gathered you had no idea this was the case, Air Judge. I, of course, knew about it. What? Don't get me wrong, I wasn't hiding it. It just never occurred to me that the switch and the shooting took place at the same time. So I was right? There was a switch? There was. Just before the stage's tower rose, Lamar was replaced. While we were on the subject, just who was this replacement Lamar? Why, the man behind the illusion. Valant Gramarye. Ooh! It was Gramarye? That's quite the illusion, but I still don't get one thing. Yes? The switch happened before the tower rose, correct? So you weren't on the stage. That's right. But this, fake Lamar is still singing. And she's pretty good. Come on, Apollo, that's an easy one. They were just playing a recording. The Gavinaires aren't some kind of air guitar band, Fraulein. Oh, you mean I'm wrong? When we play a show live, we play live, no recordings. Perhaps you can explain, Lamar? Very well.
Hold it!
You were singing? Yes. Mr. Gavin expressed a dislike for recordings. So I used this. Wait, so you were singing the whole time? Even you were crawling above the ceiling toward the backstage? Why should it matter where I sing when everywhere I go is the same darkness? But if you were singing while you were walking, that's right, wouldn't the shooter and the victim have heard? She was singing right over their heads after all. That is right. Are you sure? You'd have to be pretty hard of hearing to miss someone singing in the goddamn ceiling. Once again, we come back to the scene of the crime. What state? Oh no, I know what he means, that old speaker, Apollo. The speaker? The speaker was blaring at the time of the murder. As for the monitoring the stage for this room. Monitoring? It pipes in the real-time feed of the stage microphones, useful for knowing when your set is coming up. Satisfied? That dressing room was fitted with a large speaker playing a direct feed from the stage, at my request, actually. So Lamar singing in the ceiling sounded just like Lamar singing over on the speaker. Ingenious, her voice was hidden by her voice. Oh, Lamar, I have just remembered something. Do tell. When I heard the noise, the gunshots, yes, it startled me, so I stopped singing. What? I forgot the words I was supposed to sing. The song stopped? Thankfully, it was the very beginning of the second verse, so many would not notice. Forehead, that mixing board I lent you, where is it? The mixing, huh? The machine, Apollo, the one that breaks music into tracks. Oh, this, I completely forgot about it. Jesus, I can understand why people say this is not the really best case, because you keep seeing this shit over and over again. Oh yeah. Cool. All right. Whew. Holy shit. Hey, it's Phoenix. What's up, man? Daddy! Mr. Wright, you believed in me? Not really. But I have pudding. Huh. I just thought that'd make a cooler entrance than say, hiya. Why do you even bother hoping? Where have you been lately, Dad? Haven't been coming to the office at all. Ah, sorry about that, Trucy. I'm on a secret mission. Secret? You mean like you're undercover? Like Mr. Lataus, only shorter and not as well dressed. Oh no, what if you're shot too, Dad? Would I do a thing like that to you? Anyway, I'm off for a while again. Huh? You're leaving? Oh, one thing before I go. What? Good luck. Right. Is that all you came to say? I think you have things pretty much under control. You'll get Monty to bite off the hook, no doubt. Yeah, but you're after that detective, aren't you? Guardian Crescent. It won't be easy proving he did it, especially not under the current court system. The current court system? What did Prosecutor Gavin say during the trial? Your case is based on one fragile assumption, namely that our diva divine is telling the truth. But what about all the proof? The brooch and the switch, a piece of jewelry and a lyrical blunder. There are plenty of other ways to explain these things, the flaming guitar too. All because you lack definitive proof of their connection to the case. But if the sultry songstress is lying, your case melts like butter in a frying pan, leaving behind the faintly singed scent of failure. So what the fuck do I do? Like I said, good luck. And beware that it will be impossible to prove his guilt by conventional methods. Ugh. Oh, that reminds me. I have something to give you from our detective friend, Detective Sky. Emma? Let's see. This bag of snacks here was meant for me. Ah, here it is. What are those, Dad? Those look like very good snacking material. They were found at the scene. Analysis of the fragments revealed traces of gunpowder. Gunpowder? Probably a firecracker or something similar, like the ones kids are into these days. These fragments were found underneath the sofa at the scene of the crime, actually. Under the sofa? Hey, Apollo! That's where we found the little device thingy. Right, this. Well, finally, some evidence that makes sense. Burnt fragments. Okay. That's all for me, I suppose. See you after the verdict. Maybe. Right. Every man has an igniter inside him. Excuse me? Find Darian Crescent's igniter and set it off. And he walked out the door just like a magician, normally. What does he want us to do? No conventional methods? What does that mean? I guess we just have to take his advice and hope it makes sense when the time comes. I guess. We're almost at the finish line. Hang in there, Trucy.